Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to 10 Yards Back with me, Jim, for my predictions for round 6 of the 2026 Betfred Super League. How are we doing? I'm very well, thanks. Round 6 is upon us. Round 5 is a long memory at this point, but some exciting stuff happened. Plenty to go here in round 6, which in some ways feels like the calm before the storm, doesn't it? Because, of course, round 7 this year holds that famous mouth-watering rivals round. So, in this video, I'm going to give you my predictions of a couple of the highlights of the weekend, my favourite games. Just going to pick a couple out there and give you my views on the rest fleetingly as well. Over at the LNER on Friday night on Sky Sports and Superleague Plus, this one. So if you're one of those smart people who subscribe to Superleague Plus, please support it. I think it's important. We got York versus Wakefield. Wakefield visiting the banana skin factory, aren't they? Because I think, myself included, everyone thought that York this year was basically going to be a bit of a graveyard of York players. You know, everyone was just going to be visiting there and walking straight over them. But that's not really the case. Not really worked out that way, has it? Just yet. York are doing really well, really holding their own against teams. But probably, if we're honest, just letting a few too many through in sort of like unforced conditions. Really, teams aren't really having to work too hard to score points. But York are absolutely matching them. Wakefield are playing very well. Or rather, what Wakefield are doing well, they're doing very well. But they're doing a couple of things wrong. They seem to just be letting their opponents off quite a lot through errors, penalties. Not so much penalties, more errors, to be honest. So, if they both have their best game, Wakefield take it. If they carry on playing like they do, who knows? I'll let you see my thoughts shortly. So let's have a look at the stats. Like I said, nothing too sort of untoward, really. Obviously, Wakefield are 2 places above York in the table because they've won an extra game than them. But it is only one game, and York really aren't losing badly, but neither are Wakefield. All these games have been very tight, albeit York's games have been extremely dynamic, whereas Wakefield's have all been sort of arm wrestles. The key stat that might grab your eye there is the conversion rate. Poor Jack Sinfield hasn't really had the best start with the boot, has he? He's coming around, though. He's definitely coming around. Don't take that as me slagging him off. Something I'm going to point out here, because you can't deny it, is meters. It's in Wakefield's DNA under Darryl Powell to chew up meters. The fact that this is the way it is, 200 or so meters more than York on average, is mad, because they just got Tom Johnston back last week. And I think Tom Johnston last week ran for 200 meters himself. So that is going to be discouraging for York. Is that the way they're going to win? I don't know. Let's take a look at the teams. So again, York have got a pretty choice team out. Again, last week I was talking about the not the spine, the middles, the McShane as the general, Ngannou, Richardson, sort of all playing off each other, and that giving them the freedom, because McShane can sort of McShane in that partnership is basically picking up the slack of whoever's either slacking or sort of taking on extra duties there. Kicking, for example, he's put in a few wonderful kicks that really Ngannou probably last week should have fielded. The week before, probably, that Richardson was after, but nevertheless, he's spotting those gaps as opportunities and allowing the team to go one way or the other in terms of the strategy, in terms of whether they're going to run it in or kick it in. VAR and Vaughan and Griffin and Dean, the the pack is pretty strong for York. Their subs are pretty good as well, but you only need to glance at the Wakefield team to think, oh man, they have got some strength in there, haven't they? The Wakefield team is basically first choice in every category, and Wakefield somehow, I don't know when it happened, they were doing it under the radar. They're doing it sneakily, probably because last year everyone was just waiting for them to lose. They really built a very, very deep bench, particularly in the front row. But weirdly, I don't know how they did it, crystal ball wise, they've also developed a massive skill set in the hooking position, where I'm back to, obviously. So, two pretty good teams going against each other, two pretty much first choice teams going against each other. Great, I've highlighted where I think both teams are strong or whatever. The way that I think this game is going to go is it's going to be close because York can score points. However, York typically score their points in that 20 to 30 minute mark and the last 10 minutes of the game, which means they sort of capitalise on that fatigue, maybe the rotation aspect. And I think, unfortunately, for them against Wakefield, that's probably where they're going to start running out of ideas, because Wakefield are a big side. They've got lots of big bodies, but they've also got a lot of meter potential in their back line. So, you know, you think, how are we gonna get the ball down the field? Are we gonna kick it? Well, you can kick it a few times if you're York, but ultimately you don't want to kick it to Johnston because he'll take your pants down. You don't really want to get it to Jowett or Rourke because they've got fantastic offload ability, passing ability. So the kicking's really off the table. Running it in, they're a bit bigger than us, aren't they? Really. So those little grubber kicks, Jowett can easily mop those up at the line, and it's going to be quite punishing to get there. So ultimately, I think Wakefield are going to take it. But like I said, Wakefield, if they sort their discipline out, they can take this by a mile. If they don't, I think it's 24-20. That's what we're looking at this week for this Friday night fixture. What do you think, York Wakefield? It's definitely an interesting one, and it's one to keep your eye on. I think the Trin just edge it out, though. All right. Elsewhere in the league, who haven't I covered? Wigan versus Huddersfield. Lee versus Toulouse is an appealing fixture, but we think that given the way that the Leopards played last week against Wakefield with the injuries, I can only really see that going one way. Hull FC versus Catalans is a sleeper. I'm really rooting for Hull FC on that one. I don't know why. I don't know when I became a Hull FC fan, but gosh darn it, I bloody did. So I'm rooting for Hull FC on that one. I think they can do it. My math says that they can do it. But Catalans are just boiling, aren't they? They're just simmering. They're just ready to boil over. So we'll see how that goes. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. Let me know what you think of my predictions, my team choices, who's in, who's out, blah blah blah, who's injured, and I just haven't noticed and put them in the team anyway. Let me know. Listen, like, subscribe, comment. Let's make friends in the comments. And enjoy Super League's 30th birthday. I'll see you next week.